Hey everyone, this is Ricardo. I'm joined here by Amavir, and I'd like to welcome you to Time on Track, podcast where we navigate the high-speed racing and constantly changing storylines of Formula One. It's been 2 weeks since Abu Dhabi, and Amavir and I really wanted to take some time out to give you a full recap of what we thought about the 2024 season, as well as some of the hopes and wishes we have for 2025. But that's enough for me. I'm going to toss it over to Almaver. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I can't believe we made it through an entire 24 season race, and we're sitting here today talking about some crazy stuff that happened that we probably wouldn't have guessed at the beginning of the season, but doing
Yeah,
well. How about you?
same thing. Same thing. I feel like this was a tale of 3 or 4 seasons, not even like two. There was like a part one, a middle, no, like a part one, a second part, a middle, intermission, summer break, a third part, and then this fourth part. Um, and yeah, if you use any of the parts to try to guess what would happen next, chances are you would be brutally mistaken.
Yeah.
But before we jump into some of those things, of course, what are you wearing?
Oh,
Well,
this is
well, well,
great.
well, not so much. Well, what are you wearing? Because I find we both find it a little hilarious that we are basically wearing the same color combination on
Yeah.
camera.
Today is a green hat, gray sweatshirt, and glasses and a beard day. That's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
true. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
um, I am wearing, drum roll please, for me at least, I'm wearing a new to me Omega Seamaster Professional 2254.5 for the number heads in the world. This is the Peter Blake. So it's a black dial. It's like a mid 2000s. I think it's like a 2006, 2007. I put it on a rubber strap. Um, but this is a watch I've been looking for a while. I'm getting that money. And it finally popped up, found one in clean condition on Watch Exchange and pulled the trigger. Very happy with it. What about you?
I am wearing a shop exclusive.
Ooh.
I'm just gonna toss that in there. More of a showroom exclusive. I am wearing the Strum Arctic Blue um, from the
Oh, yeah.
wonderful guys at Strum. So we actually have these at our showroom. They're not on our site. So if anyone happens to be in the tri-state area this Friday or Saturday, you could stop by and take a look at these. You could actually come and purchase them as well. They were at the fair, I believe San Francisco and New York. I just kind of like what they're doing. I feel like a lot of stuff coming out of Europe right now is really interesting.
Are they a Nordic
And
company?
they are, I want to make sure, because I have a country in my mind,
You want
and
to make
I'm
sure you get it right.
and I'm just like, I'm not going to butcher this at
I
all.
saw those dials are really cool, and it seems like there's some pretty awesome packaging that comes with those watches.
Yeah.
Great
So
presentation.
they're out of Norway.
Okay.
So I wanted to just confirm that. I don't
Yeah.
want to say New Zealand or they're out of Norway.
Hmm.
Um, and what I find interesting is so it's an integrated bracelet watch, time only, uh, Le Jour Parade movement inside, 68-hour power reserve. So truly like a watch you could enjoy in your rotation. You could wear quite often. Dials are interesting. But really, like yesterday was the first time I just sat down and like really opened up the packaging. And man, do they have a like they really thought out how to package and sell a watch. So not only do you get, of course, you get the watch, and it's inside like this little tablet, metallic case that
That's
you could
cool.
also use to transport the watch, which all by itself is already cool. But then they have like a smaller rectangular case, which just has like tools and things that you would need now that you own the watch. So they have like the little screw pin remover.
Oh,
They
nice.
have like actual pins that you can the remover that you use the hammer for. But then they also have like a cloth, a a patch to kind of be like, okay, you're not part of the team. But the coolest things, and this is something I think only watch nerds would truly appreciate. They have a smaller tin with cutouts for the links and the extra pins that you will have when you size it to your wrist.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome.
so like it's a foam cutout
Yeah,
where it has a place that you could just line the links in, and then smaller cutouts just for like the pin and collar for you to put there.
that's
Like,
so
I know
awesome.
that sounds like people are just like, yeah, you could just toss it in a plastic bag. No, 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 no. You don't understand. That's how things get lost. But to have that as part of the packaging and think that much and realize how important that is to like give it its own little place. So like you don't even think twice, oh, where are my links? Where are my pins? Where? No, everything is right there.
Yeah, that's cool. And you can put it on display. And if you're a little OCD, maybe like me, it's all perfectly placed.
Yep.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So if you're wondering exactly what this looks like, just stop by my Instagram. I think the story. Well, by the time this comes out, the story won't be active. But yeah, if it definitely hit me up if you're wondering. Okay, what are you talking about, Ricardo? And I'll send you the picture. It's just a really cool overall packaging. It's not the behemoth boxes that some brands use, but like there's a subtle inside joke there. But no, it's just really nice packaging, and I'm basically just I'm trying this out, really getting a feel for the watch. So when I talk to people about it, like I could tell them like here are some of the quirks, here are some cool things about it. Yeah, that's what I'm wearing.
Nice. That's awesome. Um, pretty fun, pretty fun watch to close out the 2024 season.
Hmm.
Uh, should we talk about the last race of 2024? I think probably right. Abu Dhabi. We're recording this basically 2 weeks after the race. If people don't know what happened right now and haven't watched the race, I don't know what to do for you.
Yeah, especially if
um,
you're listening to us. So
yeah,
the chances are, if you're listening to us, you've watched this race. Um,
or
eh,
maybe you haven't. Maybe you're just on the Warning Wound channel and you're like, hey, let's listen to these guys. What do they know about anything?
that is true.
Nothing. We don't know anything, but we can
Yeah.
talk about Abu Dhabi. It was a, I would say, pretty good race, especially a race to close out the season.
Mhm,
The big question going into it was, would McLaren hold on to the Constructors Championship? Would they win it?
mhm,
Um, and then what was Lewis Hamilton's last race in a Mercedes going to look like?
mhm,
And if you're like me, is Valtteri Bottas going to score a point finally?
mhm.
Uh, Spoiler alert: McLaren did win the constructors.
Yeah, made a little spicy there in the beginning. Thank you, Max Verstappen.
Ma- yeah, Max Verstappen had some fun. You know that's the funny part about this race kind of encapsulated the entire season, at least for
Hmm.
me. It was like there are some trends that this was a, and we'll talk about how much what we thought of the season as a whole, but there were some trends in this season that all came together in this race. Number one, Max Verstappen is going to be aggressive and make some moves, and we saw that on lap one when he essentially uh, got very aggressive on the first turn and took out Oscar Piastri, almost leading to both of them getting DNFs. They both kept going, but that was a fun theme. Theme two was just the ups and downs of McLaren, where you did have Lando in first after a great qualifying, and now Piastri's down at the back of the pack, and Ferraris were sniffing at their heels. I thought that was fun. And number three was just like Lewis Hamilton, despite having a ridiculous weekend where his practice was. I don't even remember practice, but his qualifying, he got a bollard stuck under his car. He was out in Q1. He still found a way, despite all the garbage and nonsense around him, to somehow give us a show and
Yeah,
had a fun race.
yeah. I mean, it. I really wasn't like worried that McLaren was. I think a few weeks ago, I was definitely on my pulpit, basically saying McLaren deserves not to win this.
Yeah.
for all the time all the craziness that happened this year. But then I got there to that last race, and I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at like just how happy they are, how long it's been since they've won a constructors, and just how much it means to them. And it kind of changed my position real quick, and I was just like, you know what, they really do deserve it. Like it we would have loved to have seen a better fight at the top for the drivers, but I mean, really, for the turnaround over the past few years, they really did deserve to win the constructors. And I mean, believe me, we we saw the race. Ferrari definitely didn't make it easy. They came in second
They
and
did
third.
great.
They did
Man,
everything they could,
Leclerc's
minus winning.
ride.
Yeah, yeah, coming up from 19th and just storming through the pack within the first few laps
It was crazy.
was just crazy. Like, and what I found interesting, and I think this bodes well for next year, especially seeing as like I am now a Ferrari fan. Um, the pain that Leclerc showed not winning the constructors.
Yeah, he wanted it.
He
He
wanted
wanted
it.
it.
Like it's sometimes we question whether the drivers are really as like tied into these things as we are as fans, but you could see how badly he wanted it. And like throughout the race, he's asking like, "Oh, where's Carlos? Is he closer behind him?" Like it would, like he really wanted to just take that constructors championship. And like I say, I think it bodes well for next year. I think between him and Lewis Hamilton, if they give them a good car, like Ferrari, I think are in a very good place. I mean, word on the street that their competitor, Red Bull, will be Max Verstappen and a Mister uh, L squared. That's his new name now, L squared. Um, but yeah, I think on that side of things, it was a really good race. They did as much as they can, but Lando was just too strong this
Yeah,
for that
Lando
final
Lando
race.
had a perfect race, I would
Yeah,
say.
and a nice little.
Signs,
I was gonna say for Lando, just a nice little way to end the season.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Start to
Um,
finish, win the race, set the tone.
mhm.
I think he's going to have a lot to reflect on this summer, but great way
Yeah.
to end it for him. Great way to end it for McLaren. Great way to end it for Ferrari, honestly, to be that close at the end of the season, having
Mhm.
a 2-3 finish with Sainz and Leclerc. Um, and yeah, I think what you were talking about how Leclerc really wanted it.
Yeah.
I think it speaks to not just him as a competitor, but it's like this is more of a team sport than we think about it day to day. It's a traveling circus of I don't know how many hundreds of people, but it's the full pit crew, all the race engineers, uh, everyone, and they're all so tied in and locked in every single day and exchanging data and looking at numbers and thinking through how to adjust the car. That it's I think more of a team sport than F1 advertises. Uh, they did a good job with McLaren showing what was happening up in the UK for everyone watching. But you know, one question for you, Ricardo:
Mhm.
do you care about the constructors championship as a fan?
That's a good question. Um,
I'll give
it's
you my
weird.
answer.
It's very weird. I'm trying to find like a comparison in another sport to see if like there's a way I could like really describe how I feel. But you go first. You go first.
Yeah, I don't know if you. I feel like motorsports is so that's where it is such an individual thing.
Mhm.
I mean, individual in terms of the sport itself, not individual in terms of athlete. Uh, I'm a huge fan of the Constructors Championship, and I don't know if that's because I kind of found motorsports through being a car person, and so I associate uh, the brands with the teams, and so for me, like it is a big deal if McLaren wins over Ferrari. It's a big deal when Mercedes changed their livery from silver to black, um, because like like with Mercedes, I associate them with like, the silver arrow. Like they are always silver in every sport they do, and not in F1. Um, I like deeply care about F1. I remember cars from the 90s and from the 2000s. I do care about the constructors, but I feel like most people I talk to don't. Like they just care about the drivers championship. And I'm I guess doing this podcast this year, I found that surprising how many people don't care about the constructors. So I guess you know, I'm in the minority there.
I think what's happened over the years is there's this heightened attention that the individual gets. And it's not so much just the drivers, it's the principals as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like we know the principals by name now. Fred
Yeah.
Vasseur, Otto Wolff, Christian Horner. Like these personalities have really become like taking the forefront on the stage when it comes to the sport. So I could see how someone who's just getting into the sport thinks less of the teams and more of these individuals and like the drivers and then like these individual principles.
Especially in the
Um,
Netflix era.
oh yeah, especially in the Netflix area. I think what I find myself wavering back and forth between the two. There are
Yeah.
moments where I truly like appreciate the constructors for what it is. Like seeing McLaren's like celebration,
Mm-hmm.
like that reminded me. I think what it's for me since I got into the sport probably like about 8 9 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the tie into the constructors and the drivers has always been so close that my brain doesn't really compute it as a separate thing until
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Like because I grew up loving the sport in an era where I saw Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes winning those like clockwork. I really didn't separate the two. So
Yeah.
I would celebrate them just as one and the same. But
Most
like
seasons, you're right. You don't really have to choose.
you don't really have to choose.
If your Sergio Perez driver actually just does what he's supposed to do, we probably didn't have to think about it this year. But we,
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But it just goes to show you, even in that instance, look at where all the hate is going. All the hate mostly is going towards Sergio Perez. None of that is really coming towards the team. No
yeah,
one is saying like I mean a handful of people are saying some things, but still it feels like I hear more dag Sergio Perez lost this for his team and not like damn the team lost the constructors championship. Like
yeah,
so it's weird, but I feel like with this season and like that perfect split we got where it really felt impactful like that you had one team who's been yearning for it for a long time win the constructors and one team like who one side like one driver who's really been dominant wins the drivers championship.
hmm,
Like it just really showed the importance of the drivers championship. Not only that, but then you had like storylines going on in the midfield and like the lower to upper midfield that I think really like
like the Haas Alpine
yeah
V
it
carb stuff.
it
Yeah.
it as long as there's parity, I believe the constructor matters.
Hmm.
But when there's not parity, it loses its oomph. As the teams come closer and closer together, it becomes a team sport. But
Yeah.
when you have just dominance, how can you like really think of it as a team sport? It goes to the back of your mind. But now that we are seeing this parity, we're seeing like the teams closer together. Now it's like, oh, my team against your team. Oh, this is cool. Like it yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I I think
parody's
it
a
meant
fun word to use.
yeah, it matters to me. It matters to me now. I could
Okay.
honestly say that it matters to me now. So like I will say, and I have no problem saying this. Now that like Lewis Hamilton has moved to Ferrari,
Hmm.
like I am no longer just a Lewis Hamilton fan, and a good reason of that is because I also am I'm a little fan of Charles Leclerc as well. and I would like to see him be successful. And I'm also a fan I could see myself being a fan of Ferrari. Sad note is like I find that a little shocking because like I've watched enough on the history of like F1
Mm-hmm.
to like still like I don't know like
Now,
still feel some type of way about Ferrari if you
yeah,
understand what I'm saying. So
I know
like
exactly what you're saying. I've grown up on the dark side my whole life. Like I've been a Laker fan my whole life, and so
mhm.
that's really you're gonna be that you're gonna join that team. Like I saw
Exactly.
it. Like when LeBron joined the Lakers, like half of the NBA fandom was just like, wait, what? We have to. I like that guy. He's on that team now. Like I have
Yeah,
to deal with that.
yeah.
It's like
And
a Mets fan waking up one day and being like, wait, I'm a Yankees fan. How'd this happen?
have
Like,
this happen. Exactly. It's just a complete like change. And then not only that, for like just the power that
it's
team
like
has
an
had in
Omega watch person just one day putting on a Submariner and being like, wait, I like this. Can I like Rolex?
yeah. That too. That too. But like I said, it's also just the history of like that team in the sport. Like some of
Mm-hmm.
the funny business with Ferrari and preferential treatment that they've gotten sometime in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not an easy pill to swallow to just suddenly become a
Alleged
Ferrari fan.
preferential treatment.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I see myself like leaning in that direction. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
weird how we suddenly got into this
Yeah.
conversation.
Well,
But no,
I
I think you're right. I think people this generation, like if we continue to get seasons like this, it will become more constructor. Like the constructor will have more of an oomph.
like
Like,
that.
but if we go back to like the dominant driver era, like that we've had over the last 6 or 7 years, like it's gonna lose its umph. The constructor is just not isn't gonna matter as much.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
gosh, it hasn't even been 6 or 7 years, right? It's been dominant driver after dominant driver. It was like Schumacher, then Vettel, then Alonso, then Mercedes, then Lewis, then
listen,
Max.
then
Yeah.
Max, yeah,
But you mentioned something. You said a word that I think pretty well described the 2024 season. You used the word parity, and I thought that was a good word because I think we had that parity this season that we were looking for that we didn't get at the beginning of the season,
hmm
and I don't know. I thought that shaped the the this becoming a really really fun F1 season was having that parity and having teams compete where you have something like Alpine having a double podium in Brazil out of nowhere, or Yuki Tsunoda just kind of mixing it up race to race, like being in the points. I thought that was cool. What were your thoughts on the 2024 season?
I feel like for the first time in a long time, Netflix producers will not have to create like a storyline. All the storylines that they could ever possibly want were
Hmm.
here. Not only that, for the first time in a long time, they don't have to act like in the last 5 episodes that we already know like who's winning the drivers championship. Like to them, this is the most natural, easy season to turn into a show.
Because it was
And
a show.
if it wasn't, and make it like thrilling and make it interesting without feeling like you have to add extra sauce in
Hmm.
there to do that. It truly was like the parody this season was amazing. The amount of individuals who won races was amazing. Um, it it nothing felt manufactured, like except well, really nothing felt manufactured. There was rare, minus the first couple races of the season, there was rarely a time where I felt like the announcer was just wasting my time and trying to guide me through a conclusion we already knew was going to happen. Mostly first couple races, but
There was a lot of highlights throughout this. I mean, even in the
yeah,
first couple of races, we had in Australia, which I think was like race 3, Max Verstappen's flaming brakes, and then Carlos Sainz -1 appendix winning the race. Like, that was a pretty awesome start. That was like, what, 2 or 3 races into the season. That was
Hmm.
cool. So yeah, there were little highlights throughout. I thought it was good.
Yeah, good. I think just a good overall season. I think if you're F1, you'd love every season to be like that.
Yeah.
Where really as an organization, like, yes, it's great to have like a dominant figure, but it's so much easier to market like a full product when there are multiple individuals that you can market. Like,
It
like
was what, seven drivers won a race this year or something
yeah,
like that. Yeah.
like think, if you're questioning what I just said, just think about the coverage we've seen since the end of the season. Max Verstappen, all of a sudden, still more Lando Norris, still more Lewis Hamilton, Carlos Sainz. Tell me what year would you have seen this much coverage on a driver leaving a top tier team and going to a team like Williams, but like just this much coverage where it's not like where you don't feel like they're just giving you extra. Like, all these storylines, all these things matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, for as a company, like, you would love to see every season like this.
I
You would
mean, as a
love to
fan, I'd love to see every
yeah,
season like this.
every season like this. You would love to see the parody. You would
Yeah.
love to see like a product that is still fresh into race 23, 24.
Yeah.
Like like
My
like
gosh.
this
Yeah.
like think about how much they were salivating after 2021. Like, in many ways, this season, I think, is something easier to accomplish and gets you just as much like attention.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I this season I think was really good.
Yeah. I was pumped. Did you have a favorite moment of the season? I can tell you mine while you're thinking of if you need time to think of yours.
Okay, I have two favorite moments.
Oh, okay. Two
I'll
favorite
t-
moments.
I will tell you the first one that comes to mind, which I originally like. I paused for like a second mentally and was just like I shouldn't say that one. But then I also paused again and I said, if it's the first thing that came to mind, that means naturally it's my favorite
Okay.
moment.
I
You
want
know
to
what
hear
was
it.
my favorite moment?
What was your favorite moment?
Watching Lewis Hamilton get robbed of what should have been a victory, only to have his teammate have that victory taken away from him and give it to the person who truly deserved it. That was my favorite moment.
This is Russell's famous push on
Yes.
a one stop.
That was my favorite moment.
What
That
race was that? I guess 24 races. I'm losing count. But yeah,
wasn't that Spa
that makes
Francorchamps.
sense. Yeah. Um,
So
yeah,
yeah,
George Russell doing I think we can do a one stop, guys.
yep,
And then goes hard on one set of tires and then comes in underweight.
yep, yep,
Yeah, that
yep.
was crazy.
That was my favorite because I'm sitting there and I could just imagine what's going through Lewis Hamilton's like mind as he's driving. Like, really, like really, like, now now we're gonna make this a challenge. Okay, okay, and just like, oh, you want me to keep it fair? Basically, not like not crash into him and basically give him this. Okay, okay. Um, only for like us to hear hours later he gets to win anyway.
Yeah. That was
That
that
was
was
my
a
favorite moment. I
that
like
was a good one.
I know people are gonna hear that and like, Dad, Rick, you're salty. That's petty. Dude, but I'm being honest with myself. Like,
Hmm.
it's the first thing that came into my mind. I didn't even have to think twice. Immediately. It was the joy I felt hearing that Lewis won that race after what I felt. And I think a lot of people felt he should have won outright. Like,
Yeah.
he was the dominant driver like that weekend. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, for me, that's number one. Go ahead.
Okay,
What's your
you mentioned two though. So what is the second favorite?
so the second favorite for me would have to be that craziness between Max and Norris. when they were going hard at each other, back and forth,
Oh,
and
in
they basically took
Austria.
each other out of the race.
Yeah.
And the reason I like that is because, unlike, let's say, okay, what track?
This is where they made contact and shredded each other's tires,
Yes,
basically. Yeah.
like unlike, let's say, where Max Verstappen was on top of Lewis's head,
Yeah,
and and
there's
we
a little less life on the line on this one.
yes, I'm like, this was so like the fact that they kept going and they were trying to continue, but it's like a heavyweight boxing match, and they both deal like, if you ever seen a heavyweight boxing match and you've seen a liver shot where
Mhm.
like the fighter for like 3 seconds is like, I'm still gonna fight, and then the pain kicks in and they're on one knee. That's what that reminded me of. It was like a
Yeah.
heavyweight match, and then someone just, but instead of one person landing it, they both kind of dealing like that liver shot. And then for 5 seconds, we're looking there like, oh yeah, this is gonna continue, and they both on one knee. Like, oh yeah, no, I'm out,
That
I'm
was a
out.
crazy moment. That was a crazy
That
moment.
was a crazy moment. So those are my two moments.
Max finished that race though, right? And then Lando had a DNF, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was really cool. I like
Yeah.
that one. I'd say for me, uh, and this is like a personal experience, was just Lewis Hamilton winning Silverstone, and that was because we were in Europe. We had just come back from Mont Blanc, and we were in Paris, and I was watching it at a pub with a bunch of English people, and it was cool to watch it in that environment and watch him win, and then maybe taking a shot of whiskey with the English bartenders afterwards was a lot of fun. And it's just cool to see Lewis win. And he hadn't won, I think, that entire season until that race. So that was
Yeah.
really awesome. I really like that one.
No, that was a beautiful moment. Like,
Yeah.
there are moments like, if you have anyone who's listening, if you have the F1 TV app, they do this. They have this feature where it's basically um what is it called? Where they basically have moments of like
Like a
interest,
like
like documentary. Like, basically it's called Inside Story.
oh yeah.
And it basically just boils down to like these cool moments that happened throughout a season. So like, one of the inside stories is Alpine ride the storm of Sao Paulo. And then you have like inside story, Leclerc thrills the Tifosi in Monza Stunner. But one of the inside stories was Magnificent Hamilton wins like Silverstone. It's like a
Oh yeah.
more in-depth recap summary of the
A little
race.
more behind the
A
scenes
little more, but
for
it's,
Mercedes or whoever they're highlighting that day. Yeah,
yeah,
that's cool.
but it's not even really behind the scenes. It's just like a more cinematized version
Mm.
of the race
Hmm.
that really brings it like cuts out all the fatty parts, like the dull moments, and just gives you like all the highlights in one place.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And yeah, I can see why you picked that. Like, it was an amazing race,
Yeah.
I
I
think.
mean, amazing race. And for me, it was an amazing experience. It was, yeah, that's, I think, beyond just the 2024 season. I'll probably remember watching that race for a very long time. That
Yeah,
was cool.
yeah,
2024, huh? What a year.
yeah,
What a year for Formula One.
yeah. But now
So,
we look to the future,
yeah. So,
and 2025.
2025. A couple things have popped up. Uh, it seems like there might be some Red Bull news. Do you want to share it?
So, news, word on the street is, Perez is out, Liam Lawson is in. This is word on the street in terms of like, everywhere I look, I see this, and like even ESPN is reporting it, but it's not like the official.
Right.
Like, when
Red Bull hasn't officially announced this yet,
yes,
but people are
yeah,
reporting it,
people are reporting it.
including now Worn and Wound. Just kidding. We're not actually. We're reporting on the reporting.
Or yes, exactly. So, but no, I find this interesting. Um, and you know who I think is the most affected person by this news?
Wait. So the news is Checo's out and Liam Lawson is in. That right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Make sure I had that right.
Yep. So to me, the person who's most affected by this and who I think this will have just long-term ramifications for is Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah, that's the first person I thought of when I heard this news.
Yeah.
I think I said it's just I think under my breath was just like that's absolute
Yeah.
bullshit, like BS for Yuki.
It Yuki Tsunoda in in the past, like some people have said, RB is like a place where you go and like your career may die or whatever, but like I'm looking at what Yuki Tsunoda is going through, and I'm just like, damn. Like even like give the man a chance.
It's not even what does he
What
have to do to get
like
to take that seat? Like
like
he
what?
said himself, they keep sending drivers to beat me and I keep destroying them.
Yes, like
And yet they still gave it to the driver he destroyed. That's absolute nonsense in my mind.
what I've like. You've always given people a chance and are the
Mhm.
first to cut them if they don't measure up. You can't even give this man a chance. I almost feel like for Yuki, like I'd rather test myself in that fire than continue to just stay here like on the sidelines. Like give me a shot. If you tell me I have 5 races to prove, okay, cool. I know I have 5 races to prove. And you
Oh
tell
yeah,
me I made
I think he would take that. If you
I
just
think
told
you would
him
take that.
put him in the Red Bull seat and like see what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, he outperformed Checo in multiple races in an inferior car.
Yeah. So like in my mind, I'm just like, give him a chance. Like, what are you worried for? Like, what is making you like not want to do this?
That you're going to put Liam Lawson in, like, well, maybe shots fired at Liam. Like, what has Liam Lawson done this season that you're like, oh, wow, he's got so much potential. I want him over Yuki Tsunoda. Like, I just don't see it. Like, he's like a fine driver. And don't give me this like character nonsense. You don't see Yuki Tsunoda flipping his teammate off halfway through a race. Like, that's not it. This
Yeah.
Liam Lawson, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this Red Bull organization. They clearly have some internal strife happening still. Christian Horner, you know, still hasn't shaken the baggage loose of what started the season, and I don't know if he's going to anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at least they got rid of Checo. Uh, I guess that's a positive.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, yeah,
Great
but
career for Sergio Perez, but I think it is time to
yeah,
hang up them boots.
yeah. I don't know. He just seemed lost this year. I felt for him on numerous occasions, but he just seemed lost.
It seemed like something happened in Monaco. That was his first bad qualifying, and then he got taken out by the Alpine guys. And
Yeah.
you know, I don't
That
know if
was
it
a
was
crazy crash if you think about it.
that crash was wild.
That crash
Um,
was wild. Like
there
like
was
really
there was a really cool, but like spectacular clip of the person, like one of the photographers behind the barrier filming that crash, and like
mhm.
the amount of carbon fiber and stuff that came over the fence, like
Yeah.
towards that guy, that was impressive. I don't
No,
know.
this is just a crazy moment, but I wish him the best of luck in like whatever he does. But
He's going to
yeah,
be fine.
I think he'll be okay. The
Yeah.
interesting thing is like we of course I don't think we've talked about this a lot. We of course have another team coming onto the scene,
Yeah.
and you have this pool of now drivers who are no longer really no longer on the team.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I think Daniel Ricciardo basically said, I'm not interested."
Thank God.
But people didn't know if "I'm not interested" translated to "they didn't call me."
Yeah,
Um,
that's
we
fair.
have Sergio Perez.
You
We
got
have
you got Checo, you got Kevin Magnussen,
Sin
Valtteri Bottas, Zhou Guan Yu.
you.
Uh, there's a whole laundry list of drivers
Oh,
that.
question to you, because we just mentioned this driver. If you're Yuki Tsunoda
Hmm.
and Cadillac comes to you and like, listen, you're in a dead end place, my friend. They're never going to let you drive that Red Bull. Come over here while you're still young, build a team out with us. You'll have a larger role. Like, you still have a good, as a driver at your age, you still have probably a good 6-7 years left in you, which I think is reasonable. Come here. Like, what are you going to lose? Red Bull's never going to give you that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Why even stay there? Just come over here, West Side.
What would I do if I were Yuki? What would I do?
Yes,
I would politely decline. There's no way I'm joining a brand new team. So, like, this is the thing: is Yuki's always been on the developmental team. Like, he needs to be in a fast car, and I don't see
he's
a
not going to
world.
be in a fast car. I'm
But
telling you right now.
that's what I'm saying. It's like
He's
I
not
don't.
going to be in a fast car. So
At least
would
not
you
next
rather
year.
be? At least you'll be
wait,
in a completely separate team. Like,
wait for
you will
wait
no
for
longer
like
be relegated like to the little brother.
But you're
Like
going to be a little brother because Cadillac. There's no way Cadillac or GM or whatever they're going to call this team is going to be good in the next
but
6
his thing,
years.
by default, you are not a little brother. You're a brother from a different family. That's like
Yeah.
you go from being an underling to a
Mhm.
peer.
Right.
Even if you're not at the top of you're still a peer.
That I think that's, to me, that's the difference. Is like, yeah, it's great to be the focus of a team, and it's great to have your opinion actually matter, and people take your data and put it into the car. But if you're a driver who's shown the potential and the ability he has, what you want at this point in your career, if it is 6 or 7 years left, is you want a chance at a world title. And he's clearly not getting that V carb. I don't think he would get that at Cadillac. Maybe a seat opens at Mercedes. Maybe Kimi Antonelli isn't it, or George Russell moves on to another team, and then all of a sudden you have this great spot on a team that could win. And I would, if I were him, I would hold out for one of those. That's what I would do if I were Yuki.
Mm.
But I don't know.
I don't know if I'm Yuki.
You want
I'm
that
taking
new
a call.
team?
I'm taking a call, and I'm like, I want a factory tour.
Oh, but you're basically beta testing for the next 5 years of your life.
You really think it's gonna be 5?
This is a ground up, brand new Formula One team.
But think about it. Isn't this like the best time you would want to go to a new team?
Because there's new regs and everything.
New regs coming out.
Mm-hmm.
You're. I understand if you're going to a new team and it's just the start of new regs and you clearly see the team miss the mark. That's one thing. It's another thing to go on a team, new regs. Everybody has an opportunity to be on the same. I would take that offer. I'm sorry, I would take that offer in a heartbeat. I would of course do my due diligence.
Yeah.
Like see what's going on behind the scenes. Like, do they have they clearly have the money.
Yeah.
But do they have the know-how, the intelligence, the right people? But that's a great offer compared to being relegated to the little brother team and never giving a chance. And then imagine just picture this. Just picture this. It's the start of the 2026 season. You line up.
You're in a GM product in Formula One.
You're let's say P16.
Because that's where you will be.
That's where you will be. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Race starts. You get an opportunity to pass to pass the RB. Great. No orders. No, let this man through. You could actually challenge. That's 3 other drivers you could actually fully on challenge now with no question. On top of everybody.
Assuming your car's competitive.
Assuming your car's competitive.
That's a big assumption, though. This is a ground up F1 team. I mean, I don't think since Red Bull's the outlier, but look at Toyota, which is one of the biggest car manufacturer in the world, or one of the biggest. Mm-hmm. They absolutely fell flat on their face trying to start a brand new F1 team. Mm-hmm. Who's going to be on their engineering side? Who's doing their aero? We don't know any of these questions. I really hope it's not someone from GM corporate, because I haven't, other than the Blackwing and the C8 Corvette, they aren't really doing much over there.
Listen, I would take the call. I would do my due diligence, and if things look good, if after everything
Yeah.
I see that team could be in a competitive place within 2 to 3 years, I'm taking that position.
That's a
I'm
big
taking it.
if. Yeah, I hear you. I
Mind
hear
you,
you.
like that's yeah. Competitive to me in that point is like P6 to P12.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'd
that'd be
rather
great.
be in P6 to P12 on another team than be P6 to P12 on the baby team
Yeah,
for a brand. I'd
agreed.
rather every single time.
Yeah. Um,
But yeah, but yeah.
I'd honestly, I'd rather join the rebranded Audi versus Sauber team. I can see Audi, Porsche actually putting some money behind this that GM might not.
Hmm.
Um, but
Yeah,
that's a different thing. Yeah, that's
but
Cadillac. So,
yeah,
what do you think? Should we talk about next season already?
I think we should.
Okay.
Um, and I'm just like we haven't really talked about this, but I'm just thinking about now. Let's just do this. Two things from 2025 that you really want to see.
Okay.
So I'll start off with one. You go, then I'll do again, and you go.
All right.
So number one on my list is Lewis Hamilton winning in a Ferrari Red. Number one,
Winning a race or
winning a
winning?
race,
Oh
winning
yeah.
a race in like. And I'm not saying this to be like I don't think this will happen, but like that will bring so much joy to me, like to see him win in a different place, and in many ways, because I find it crazy that people still question the skills of this man and still make it seem like it was only the car that made him successful.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That which is I find crazy.
Yeah.
So now like I would love to see him on another team win and like people just outright like like yes, he's going to another challenger, but still like he has the skill. The man has the skills. Don't hate, appreciate. How about you, Revere?
Yeah, the first thing that came to mind, honestly, probably is a step further. Ferrari has the best 1-2 driver pairing. They have the best 1-2 pet pairing in terms of the Charles Leclerc's Dachshund and Lewis Hamilton's Bulldog. Uh, no, I want to see a Ferrari dominant season where they actually win a constructors, and between Charles and Lewis, one of those two actually winning the drivers' championship. If they're able to, if Lewis is able to seamlessly fit into the culture over there, and the engineers and him like figure out how to talk to each other and how to make that car work for him, um, I think between him and Leclerc, like one of those two should win the drivers' championship, and I think Ferrari should win the constructors, and that's my hope for the 2025 dream. Hope number one.
Hope number one. Okay.
What's hope number two for you?
Hope number two for me is that whatever we get in terms of like the drivers or the constructors, it is a competitive like storyline
Hmm.
throughout the season. Like I would I much like you, I would love to see it end up being a fight between Lewis and Leclerc, but I would like to see we get to the summer break and there still be six drivers that could potentially win the drivers championship.
That'd be cool.
Like
I think we'll probably get that. I think
and six
it's the
six
last year
drivers
of
and six constructors. Like if we
yeah,
could get to that,
yeah,
oh my,
it's the
it's
last year of
amazing.
regs, right? Like it's
Yeah.
we saw the parity that we were just talking about this year. The last year regulations, everyone's really within these rule parameters, like squeaked out as much as they could. I think we're gonna have a very fun season next year. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Red Bull's come down to earth. McLaren and Ferrari have shot up, and who knows? Maybe Mercedes figures out what weather is and how to adjust their car for it.
Yep.
It could happen. It could happen.
What about you? Last one.
So I'm laying the foundation and the groundwork to fully just transferring over to being a Williams fan. And I think I want to see more progress from them as a team. I think we saw this year they took some steps forward, they took some steps back with every crash of Logan Sargent and Colapinto. But I want to see them as they're transferring from a team with one chassis or two chassis to three chassis or four, like actually implement some of the data analytics that they claim to be presenting, so that starting with the next set of regs, like they seem like an actual legitimate organization like they used to be. Like, if I want to see, to put it simply, I want to see some evidence that Williams is on its way to a return to glory. That's my hope for 2025.
Julio. So those are our hopes, ladies and gents.
My one real hope is that I actually get to go to another race.
Oh man, me too. Oh, I need to check that off my list. I can't go another season and not go to an F1 race. I would no, it would not be a happy year for me.
So they switched up some things this year. I think because of Ramadan. So like Australia is up first, and then I think you have Montreal in June. You might want to look at that.
Birthday
that's
month.
not. There you go.
I may just have to make that move.
Yeah, there might be some interesting things here. Cool. What a season, Ricardo.
Good season as well.
Good podcast season.
Yeah. I mean, we had the necessary racing to make it good.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It wasn't like last year. Like this year, we had the necessary storylines to make this an interesting podcast. So I'm happy for that. I will catch you on the flip slide, literally and figuratively, as we're right here, about to go into the new year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we'll probably see you guys again come testing, and car reveals. Car reveals is going to be interesting. Like,
yeah, it should be fun.
I remember the reveal this year with Lewis, and like, I'm getting tired of seeing the computer generated AI Lewis with the Ferrari outfit. I need to see him
in the Ferrari outfit
in person, in the Ferrari outfit, in that Ferrari Red. And like he already has swag, and then add like the Italian swag to it. Oh man, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, the Modena drip. Let's do it.
Oh my gosh. But thank you so much, everyone, for listening to us throughout the year. We appreciate your support, your downloads. Once again, if you guys have any comments, questions, suggestions, you could reach me at Ready Set Watch on Instagram, and Amavir, you could reach him at Meta World Cool. We love talking F1, so talk F1 with us. And that is it for the 2024 Formula One season. Signing off.